XM 105, Sirius 206, the Opie and Anthony channel. The Ron and Fez show starts right now.
Okay, let's get down to it, boppers.
Ah, buddies. It's the Ron and Fez show. Wednesday.
Hump day, man. Middle of the week.
Yeah.
It is.
I don't know why your week isn't all that difficult, but okay.
Well, this is the middle of it. This is the part we gotta get over. And then it's all cocktails from here on in.
We get over it whether we want to or not. There's no reason to struggle about it. It's just another day of the week. I want to get to Fez Whatley because he's upset about something in the news today. But I want to give him a little time to put his thoughts together. So he's not too redundant with it, so he's really out there for us. But Fez Whatley is going to be tearing the tits off the news once again.
Oh, shit.
Every day I want him to do something. So, is it going to be guns? Is it going to be religion? Is it going to be moving deer in airplanes? We don't know.
Gay issues?
Why? Why would he ever even bring that up?
Comes up every now and then.
So that's why he wouldn't meet me at Chick-fil-A last night. That's what happened.
You're all the way downtown, all right. Fuck NYU, baby.
Very cool. On the O&A show, Chris Rock stops by today. Comedy bump by him up on the Interrobang. Chris Rock. Sure, man, if he's not the biggest comedian in the last 15 years, he's got to be top 3 every single year since.
Gigantic.
Just gigantic. So that was very, very cool to hear him swing by today, mixing it up with the boys. I have, talking to Gary, I'm going to go over all these travel plans and get everything worked out. And I definitely want to get those guys in town. You got to be in Chicago, not Chicagoland. It's going to take just a couple minutes. I'm working it out.
All right. Good. Get all that sorted out.
Tell Gary after 3, clear his schedule. Tell him to have maps.
Yeah.
And I want one of those boards from the airport that's constantly changing, clicking. I don't know what they're called. I'm just going to call them clickboards. Because, like, it's the 1950s where it actually was like the old flip thing on there. I think some of the train stations still use them. It's so much better. Because it's like watching the Red Sox and seeing the guy change.
It's old-timey. It's great.
Old-timey. That's
Departure board. Departure board, I believe it's called.
Okay, that's a stupid name, but we'll call it that.
Departure
So, Tom, I want a departure board there. I need maps up.
Some different time zone clocks. Just,
a clock for every different time zone in the world, because we might end up doing this thing at Singapore.
Holy shit.
My brother's in Singapore right now. I just got a fucking note from him that said, sell everything I own.
Oh,
staying. I don't even want to know.
Is that much fun?
I don't even want to know. Well, he does have a taste for it, if I'm going to be completely honest. Look, see what I'm saying? That's been his thing.
All right.
That's his thing.
Yeah.
You know, who's the judge? I don't. Chris Stanley, before we get into Fez, what's inside your mullet head today? What's going on in that 80s head of yours?
I have a fucking beautiful 90s skull on my fucking neck. Come on.
Dude, that's still 13 years too late.
I don't know about that. Okay. Here's something that's very strange.
Before we even get to that.
Okay.
That fucking piece that you put up with the guy fucking pushing himself around in Russian.
Okay, yeah. Fucking Russia is so fucked up, and everyone has a goddamn dash cam in their car. It's bizarre. This video, which on the Interrobang, just how much vodka are they drinking in Russia? It's just a traffic video. The guy's in traffic. Like any traffic video you've ever seen.
But it's a highway, and he's sitting on some kind of lawn chair with wheels, pushing it in front of cars.
And then this guy's in traffic, and out of nowhere, from the right-hand side, a drunk guy on a cart is just going in and out of traffic.
I don't even know where you get a cart like that.
It looks crazy. Looks like he stole. It's like a fucking half a shopping cart.
When I was younger, there was this fucking. I know you can't use the word retarded, and I don't even think he was. But he was definitely mentally deranged. And he used to go to this crossroads, this like 4-way stop that was kind of a dangerous fucking place because all the traffic would converge there. And then he would take a bicycle and ride it in a circle around that thing, right? And we actually used to go get high, stand on the fucking corner and watch him going, this is it, that's it, fuck. He got out of it. And so we got bored. And he would do it every day. Nobody ever fucking stopped him.
What?
And he would yell at the fucking cars. He'd be like, fucker.
This is my intersection.
And he was just riding in a circle through a very busy, dangerous intersection.
He wasn't fucked up. He was just fucked in the head.
He wasn't fucked up. He was fucked in the head. Yeah.
Wow, that's fucking great.
I think that would be what any psychologist would say.
Thank you.
Well, first of all, the good news is you're not fucked up. But I'm looking at this and you are fucked in the head.
Okay. I was a psychology minor in college. So there you go. That's right.
It must have been a very minor. What did you learn during your psychology classes?
I couldn't tell you. I don't remember anything from college. It was just a fucking haze, man.
When did you go? The 60s? The way you're fucking talking now? Where were you? Berkeley in 67?
There wasn't much learning going on.
And you're bragging about that.
I was expelled from college, all right?
You should be expelled from planet Earth.
This guy is so intense. The look on his face is fucking
very
hysterical.
Funny. By the way, later in the show, we will get to Is That a Dog on Mars? Those pictures, there's some people believe that they see a dog running. It's up on the iBank if you want to go check it out, but we'll talk about it at length later.
If there are alien dogs out there.
Well, here's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
How do we even know it was an alien? Maybe some other dog climbed on one of those Mars rovers and he's just fucking running around up there.
You can't breathe, though. Dogs need air.
They don't need as much as us.
I know they're smaller.
I would tell you this. A friend of mine, when we were younger, it was like a fucking cold night and they were out partying. And we were still in high school, but one of them worked in a gas station. So he had the fucking keys to the gas station. And they were driving around partying and they were real cold. So they fucking pulled into the garage in the gas station, were listening to music, they shut the fucking door and left the car running to stay warm, fixated. Now, I will say this, before you call them stupid, I had never even heard of this shit before it happened. You know what I mean? Like, we were fucking kids, so I'm like, how the fuck can you die from that? You know, it had to be explained to us like we were fucking mentally deranged. But the interesting things, there were dogs in there, and they lived.
Oh, goddamn!
And I put that towards the theory, is that a dog on Mars?
That fucking makes sense to me.
They said the dogs stayed down low, and were like, fucking figured out, like, let's try to get over where there's some little breathing holes and keep breathing.
So, like, who got the dogs? Is the family or whatever?
The dogs belong to the gas station.
All right.
Why you're like a child where suddenly who's going to feed the dog? The dogs lived a long fucking life. All right,
good.
2 human beings died. If that means anything to you.
Well, you know, it's kind of a miracle that these dogs live when these 2 human beings died. I mean, it's very sad.
That's all we needed to say before you went into who got the dogs. After 9/11, they would put up all these things from around the country, these cards that kids had sent, and they were drawings just as stupid as what you would expect to get from kids. Like there were planes going into buildings and the buildings had faces and they were crying. Oh. And just, you know, and these things, they had sent them from all over the country. I guess they were trying to help the kids get in touch with them, with their feelings about it. And then the city of New York would just put them up so people would know that these little kids cared. And you would read these notes and I would just be walking down the street and stop and read a bunch of them. And they were always saying to the firemen, thank you for saving the dogs. Or they would write, who's going to take care of the dogs now? And they were only, like, when you're a little kid, I guess you don't have a lot to think about other than, I'm better than a dog. I could take care of a dog. That's a responsibility for me.
I like dogs.
So all over the country, you know, and I would just get some of these things and write back to the kids. Yeah. Who gives a fuck about the dogs? Thousands of humans were dead, but you don't give a shit, do you, Iowa?
You'd send those to the children, they don't know any better.
Some of them I just sent out just randomly to children.
That's gonna fuck with the children's heads a little bit. Just get
back to fucking with the head. You are a psychology minor, aren't you?
Thank you.
You know what? You shouldn't have been a psychology minor. In a good life, you would have been a coal miner. Because you should have went underground with a fucking pick and done something with your time.
Kind of have an iron lung already.
Derek, you're on the Ron and Fez show.
Yeah, hey, Ronnie. I was wondering, they're taking pictures and video on Mars. Are they recording sound? Because if so, you probably hear dogs barking.
Well, there is. We do have a thing of the sound on Mars, and you can just listen to it. It's really faint, but. That sounded more like a coyote to me.
Oh my God. We have to nuke that place before we fucking...
Now you're talking my language. I'd like to nuke it before we send anything there.
That'd be great. Just fucking wipe them all out.
Just to be sure.
I've seen movies. This doesn't end well.
Well, you're a psychology minor.
Thank you.
Could you imagine if fucking Watley had to go see you?
It'd be great for me.
Two fucking maniacs sitting together.
I wouldn't even have a couch. I'm still on a milk crate.
Maybe you should just party. Do what I do and party.
I can write you whatever you want in this script pad. Seriously.
Yeah, this is what they would be doing like this. This medicine burns going down, but... Dave, you're on the Ron and Fez show.
Hey, Ron, let me put down my bowl of Centauros. I think you hit on what's going on up there. The craft we sent up was a rover, right?
Yes. Oh, fuck. Like they knew the whole time.
Exactly.
Holy shit. It's happening again.
Yep.
It's going down as we speak.
Space dogs.
Beautiful.
Fuck.
Beautiful, isn't it?
Space dogs. Space dogs. I'll tell you, if you ever did have a space dog, I'd love to watch him fetch. Just zero gravity, fucking leaping.
Get giant ups.
We just have to end up saying, where do you live? You live on Mars, you crazy dog. Come here, you. Come here, you. Who lives on Mars? Who lives on Mars?
What if it attacks us?
Who lives on Mars? You live on Mars, don't you? These are Martian ears. You got Martian ears. I wish people talked to each other the way they talk to dogs. Who went to work today? Who was a psychology major today?
I was.
Yes, you were.
I was.
Yes,
right.
you were.
Yeah, thanks.
Yes, you were.
Yeah.
Psychology major.
Yeah,
Yes, you are.
Yeah.
Who wants a beer?
I do.
You want Dad to get you a beer?
do, yeah.
You want to get a beer?
Come on.
You want a beer?
Yeah.
That's a beer for that good dog. There are so many people that would probably rather be treated that way. Just fucking Hicks just looking out the window waiting for Beer Dad to come home.
Oh, where is he?
There he is. There he is. And you're running back and forth, scratching at the door, knowing you're going to get a big bowl of beer.
Oh, real? Oh, yes. Is it beer time yet?
It's so funny the way you have all those little sayings.
Love beer. Tastes good.
Yeah. When you're watching ESPN and they do the on tap, do you put your beer up like the on tap?
Yeah. I got the kegerator.
Fucking Hicks's man cave is just his fucking house.
It's literally just a cave.
His fucking place is just really just lawn equipment all and a chair. It's like anyone else's shed.
There's a fucking tent in the fucking apartment.
Ray, you're on the Ron and Fez show.
How you doing?
Hey.
Didn't you guys get the signal before we sent the space probe out? Red Rover, let Earth come over.
I like that, man. I forgot about the game Red Rover. Fucking dominated that shit. My fucking thing was always try to run between the girls, knock them on their asses.
Hell yeah. Get that.
That was one of those games that you play like 8 times and you want this blows. My parents were wrong. Where did you play in your neighborhood? Stickball?
Handball.
Caps. Just fucking looking like you grew up in Sesame Street. Then a fucking Muppet would come out of a trash can and fucking teach you about the letter 4.
Hey, they shot it right around the corner from my house. They shot Sesame Street. Still do. Call from the Astoria Studios.
I remember being a kid watching Sesame Street going, what a shitty neighborhood.
Oh, come on.
Who the fuck could live there?
It's a great neighborhood. Very diverse.
Here's Eric in Kentucky.
You guys act like, and everybody acts like they forgot about this moon landing, man. This Mars shit isn't real. It was shot on a movie stage. Maybe a dog ran through at some point.
You know what isn't real, Eric? Kentucky, where you live, I still don't believe exists.
Let's nuke that, too.
Except during basketball season. What the fuck's going on up there right now? I got all the screens up, trying to follow everything that's happening in the world of the Olympics, or the Limps, as the Aussie tries to say it. We're not allowed to say that because we live in a politically correct society, and anyone with a bad knee would start crying.
We're not a fucking prison colony like those assholes.
You know what? But they made something out of themselves.
Oh, did they? They kind of get fucked up all the time. That's about it.
How's that different than you?
I'm not saying I'm representing America. I'm part
You
of it, though.
should. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the definitive American.
What up?
Chris Stanley. He looks like he shaved today with a fucking spoon. You attempt to shave every once in a while.
I shave about once a month. Maybe once every 2 months.
Before court?
That's usually the good time to do it.
That's when you pull your hair back. It's always the funniest thing. I'll pull my hair back, and that way the fucking judge will think I'm a normal person.
That's right. I have a fucking button-down shirt on, long sleeve. So this guy's really going to take me seriously and believe everything I say.
I was in traffic court one time. I think I'm getting the fucking correct vernacular, but a guy was in there who had a shirt. It was one of those things in traffic court where like 8 guys got to go up at the same time. You know, you're just a herd. And you're in front of this judge, and he's wearing a shirt that said like, "What the fuck are you looking at, fucko?" on it. Judge loses his shit and has the guy fucking take it out right there.
Oh, that sucks.
You know, instead of paying the fucking $79 or whatever we were all in there for.
What a dick. Just turn the fucking shirt. That's an asshole move.
How about just thinking to yourself, where am I going with this shirt on?
Or turn it inside out maybe before you go.
But no matter what, suppose you leave your fucking house with the "what the fuck are you looking at" shirt. You don't think you might bump into one of your mom's friends or your old fucking shop teacher? Just someone that you're going to feel like a dick wearing that shirt?
Check it out, man. Cool shirt, right?
All right, I want to get a Watley's thing today. But what is it that you wanted to say was on your head so big?
Oh, okay. Cameroon athletes are missing, which is fucking very disturbing.
Well, it's actually a good thing.
I don't know.
They're missing because they left and they don't want to go home, and they used this thing to beat defeat. You didn't think that someone snatched them, did you?
I thought they were fucking kidnapped. They're Olympic athletes. They're important.
Do you know how many times Cubans have done this? I mean, they'll come over, hey, we're going to play baseball in Florida. They'll come over to Plano land, and 8 of them will just fucking run for the fences. Yeah, these guys are safe. They're good.
All right, good.
And England's actually behind it going, no, don't worry. We'll find them, wink, wink.
I really think they should go back to Cameroon. I mean, come on, they got to represent the country.
Yeah, but the country that they live in is in pretty shitty shape, and, you know, that's why sometimes I feel bad, like, when we crush somebody like that. We're like, yes, we fucking destroyed that poverty-ravaged country. But I still root for us. I can't help it.
You have to. It's America. Well, I'm glad that they weren't kidnapped. I really didn't think they'd just bounce.
All right, so that's what you need to get out of the way. That was your refresher.
Yes.
All right. Let the good times roll. Here comes Fez Watley in, prepared, ready to rip the tits off the news.
This execution that happened in Texas. Mm-hmm. The mentally disabled guy with an IQ of 61.
Not bad.
61.
Not bad for Texas. I mean, yes, it's about 11, 12 points underneath the average there, but not awful.
And they end up putting him to death. The Supreme Court wouldn't hear his appeal. Mm-hmm. And it's the Supreme Court that ruled that it's unconstitutional to put mentally disabled people to death.
I don't think they ever said it was unconstitutional. There's nothing in the Constitution, but here's the point. Who do you want to put to death? Smart people? I mean, what do we have to have Stephen Hawking commit a crime? Like, you're either for the death penalty or you're against the death penalty. That's the way I see it. I can't get into this fact of we have the death penalty, and this guy who, by the way, Wasn't some nice guy living with his mother and then had a freak out one day. He was a fucking gangster doing gangster shit his whole fucking 61 IQ life. So, I would have a bigger problem with you really have to be bright. Do you have to be a psychology minor before you get put to death?
No, I wouldn't want anybody put to death.
So that's your point.
But
it isn't, you're not upset about this one guy. It just gives you a chance to go back and say that you don't want the death penalty.
No, I'm upset about this one guy because the Supreme Court rules you can't execute a mentally disabled guy, but then Texas gets to rework all the numbers and everything, and they're still allowed to execute them.
So your problem is more with Texas than the thing at all. You're saying Texas is bad.
Yeah, and what does it accomplish by executing a guy who most likely is so low on an IQ level, so dim-witted, that he probably doesn't even know what was happening to him? Where does this help society?
But again, that would have to do with the death penalty. You know what I mean? The fact that you're anti-death penalty, you don't believe that it ever helps society.
Right.
So that really doesn't have a lot to do with the specifics of this case. The case really has to do with you have a death penalty. Is at the fucking point of the prosecutors, a jury gave him the death penalty. Regular people, right?
Right.
Then it would be the job then of the people there to say, we're going to carry out the people's will. That would be more or less the point of this story. You can't get it involved with the fact of whether there should be a death penalty or not. There is a death penalty there. Now, should it matter that there are people there that believe that, yes, he knows that he did something wrong? The weird thing about that is, what's the fucking difference of that to begin with? Why do we ever put anyone to death? Now, the other side of it is the guy who went around and shot up everybody down there in Arizona. He's going to get life in prison.
Mm-hmm.
Mainly there because A, it's a different state, and B, probably had a lot better fucking lawyers. That's the fucking game that you play when you get into this stuff, is do you have, good lawyers to begin with? As far as how does it help society, right? That was your question.
Uh-huh.
Does it help society that he lives? How does that help society? How does that help the people of Texas, whether he lives or dies? That would be, to me, the larger question that you're taking it to. 866-RON-0-FEZ. 866-RON-0-FEZ. I can tell you now, if I was going to whack somebody, I would drive them into a nearby state if I lived in Texas. I wouldn't whack them in Texas. I'd be like, listen, I want to take you into Oklahoma, and I'm going to fucking give you a great vacation, and we're going to have hookers and dope, and it's all going to be great. And then I would whack them there.
Beautiful.
Let's go over to Ed. Ed, you're on the Ron and Fez show.
Hey, Fezzi, you need to read the rest of the story. He was tested for his IQ, and the Supreme Court said that it was biased. It was given by his attorney and everything like that. So stick with the gay pride parade. We'll take care of the killings.
Now, Texas said that when the IQ test came back at 61, it was given by an inexperienced intern.
Right.
Who screwed it up.
Okay.
So, so Texas just is going to keep testing the guy until they get a result that they like, so they could have executed him.
And what would his lawyers do? The same exact thing. This is what happens with this. One side is against the other side, and you have to prove something to the courts.
It's such a ridiculous thing that the Supreme Court says you can't do this, but then says, well, you tell us if he's mentally disabled or not.
Again,
it's such a cheap cop-out by Scalia on the Supreme Court.
Go ahead and tell us whether it's a cheap cop-out.
Well, the evidence is there that he's at the very least marginal on this IQ scale. But he just says, no, we'll let you determine whether he's too mentally disabled, if the IQ is too low to execute him. And Texas is just going to they didn't like the result they got, so they kept testing him.
I think that happens in just did they ever having a test where he went in over 70?
Yeah, they said there was other tests where it was, yeah.
And you don't think that's debatable, though, at least?
Was it an internet
Yeah,
IQ
I think
test?
it's debatable. That's why the Supreme Court should have heard it.
Well, the Supreme Court is not going to hear every single case. And I'm never going to fucking defend Scalia, but I could see where somebody would say, look, you guys, this is a Texas thing. Go back and work it. I don't think that the fucking Supreme Court should be working on the fucking, bringing people in and testing them. We know that Texas is very, very big on the death penalty. You already know that going into this.
Yeah, they've done 7 this year.
Mark, you're on the Run of Fez show.
Yeah, Ron, Fez doesn't have a clue. It's been brought up a lot that these people realize that one of the ways to appeal the death sentence is to claim that you're mentally incapable of understanding what happens. And so when they test them, that they tell them, just be dumb. This guy ran a criminal organization. He was the head of it for dope and everything. He knows what's going on, but he also realized at the same time, if I play stupid, then it's a way for me to get out of not being executed.
Well, and
now, out of the 7 that were executed this year, 2 of them have been sentenced to life in prison, and then were given the death penalty for killing another inmate.
The other side of this, too, is that there is the Supreme Court did the thing on mental retardation, right?
Uh-huh.
There's a big difference between stupid and mentally retarded. Most of the guys that are in prison would be considered stupid by regular fucking people. Because that's the kind of guys that go, hey, I've looked at this thing, and it's a much better idea to go in and try to rob a bank where I could get 5 years and make what out of a bank these days? 5-6 grand? You know what I mean? There's not a lot of money in there.
Off a bank for a huge amount of money.
And instead of finding some other way to make that same amount of money. I mean, most of us could sit around and think to ourselves, anyone who puts the risk beyond the rewards to go into a life of crime, and this happened to all of us when we were younger. All of us did some kind of fucking criminal activity, whether you were dealing or stealing shit when you were in middle school or whatever, and you get in trouble a couple times, and you're like, this fucking shit ain't worth it, dude. I'd rather fucking just go get a job and keep these guys off my back. But some people go, no, I don't want to fucking do it. I would consider that stupid. Anyone who gets into this shit is stupid. Even if you're running a real organized crime deal. There's no fucking retirement plan in that. You're going to get fucked. Somewhere along the line, it's still a stupid decision that you're making.
That's how it ends.
To join the fucking mob, you're saying to yourself, and I'm going to quote D.L. Hughley, I'm going to go for the pussy now rather than the pussy later. I'm just going to fuck up. So stupid is not the same thing as being mentally retarded. Let's go over to Jason. Jason, you're on the Run of Fez show.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing, Ron. I mean, it's not like they need him to write, algebra or an equation. I mean, he knows right from wrong. I've got a 2-year-old that knows right from wrong. There's a big difference.
And again, most of us had to be taught right from wrong from our parents and then from society, where you thought, I'm going to do these things. Uh-oh, I'm in fucking trouble now. Now my parents are mad at me, and this and that. Nobody's talking to me. Oh, I'm going to live a better life. Then you fuck around a little more. Boom, you get in trouble. And finally you get into a point where you're like, oh, this shit is stupid. I'm not fucking going to get away with it. Yeah. That has nothing to do with fucking being mentally retarded. It's also a completely, I think, more complex problem than you're seeing it as.
I mean, well, yeah, because if you're going to have this law and then not follow it, it's completely complex.
You say not follow it, but they're saying that the test that he took was not the same as the other test. Then you have to sit down and go, is he working an angle? Blah, blah, blah. You're seeing him as some kind of gentle soul, like a fucking guy who's going to blow a bunch of flies out of his mouth and bring him and talk to a mouse. I don't think, necessarily that's what happened. Here's Bob. Bob in Illinois. You're on Ron and Fez.
I was going to ask Fez, what's this man's arrest record? How many times has he been arrested?
He's had armed robbery arrests. He's served sentences for that. He's been in and out of jail a lot of times.
But how many times? He doesn't know better? You think that he's breaking the law? Surely you don't think that.
No, I'm sure he knows he's breaking the law, but the law is also we don't execute people who can't fully comprehend what's going on.
But their point is that he did comprehend. Let's get into, and again, if we were just talking about the death penalty, I go back and forth on it because it's such a fucking fucked up thing to even think about. I don't know whether it's good for society or not, but I certainly don't feel enough for those people to go down and hold a candle and sing, while they're being executed. But let's just go through his thought process. He realized that if you show up at a store with a gun, that it's a better idea than having a banana, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he's able to make some kind of fucking decisions. That seems to me that he at least knows what the fuck he did. And to sit around and know that we're moving drugs back and forth, that business is not as easy as a lot of people think it is. It's a business like any other. It gets and you can't trust anybody. I think your thing would come down to, did he even comprehend that he was being executed? Did he even know that? Because I think you would have to probably be on that level, where you didn't know the difference between you were going in there to be executed or you were going to get some ice cream. That's probably what we're talking about here. And I think that's a lot different. That would be like some fucking weird guy that lived with his parents that when someone wandered into his yard, he fucking beat him with a shovel. And then fucking said, I cleaned up the yard today. That would be the kind of guy that we're talking about here. Somebody that didn't know what the fuck was going on. Ryan, Texas, you're on the Ron and Fez show.
Hey, Fez, I just wanted to tell you something I think will make you feel a little better. His last supper was a delicious Chick-fil-A sandwich. Just wanted to share.
Yeah. And then he was singing We Shall Overcome or God Bless America, whatever those folks think. Frank, Florida, you're on my Fez.
Hey, Fezzy, if this guy had been convicted of a hate crime against a gay person, would you have the same feeling about the death penalty as you do now?
Yes, I absolutely would.
So if you found out that he was a guy with a low IQ that was going around killing gays, you'd be fine.
I wouldn't be fine with him killing gays, but I wouldn't want him executed.
You wouldn't want anyone executed, though.
No, and I wouldn't, in this particular case, if he's low-level IQ, he shouldn't be executed.
That's not what we're talking about.
This is just Texas trying to pad its stats.
Stats against who?
To show, we're the tough guy state. You don't get away with shit in Texas. We'll execute a mentally retarded person.
Gary, you're on the Ron and Fez show.
Is that Gary?
Yeah.
Hey, I wanted to say Fez is always preaching about equality. I say equality for all. You don't execute them, then that's not fair for everybody else.
That's kind of where I'm kind of leaning towards myself. That if you have an execution that's set up, it does seem somewhat like it's discriminatory to say we won't equally execute all the people on death row. Now, that's one of the big problems with the death penalty itself, is that if you have the right kind of defense, you're never going to be executed.
Yeah, the more money you throw at your lawyers,
and a lot of money gets fucking spent by the government, blah, 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 and it would be actually cost effective just to stick this guy in a fucking room and that's it. And he lives a shitty life in a stupid room. I don't know what they do. They let you out a half an hour a day to fucking run back and forth inside some enclosed area.
Yeah.
By the way, who could be a guard on that thing? I can't imagine getting up every day and going, I'm going to go be in the same environment with this other fucking people, but I get money. I would just be so depressed.
Possibly get piss and shit thrown at you.
Then even worse is like you would be caught up in just like jailhouse gossip. Like, you know what I mean? Like you would start and treat all that shit as if
You heard
it
what
mattered.
happened to Cell Block D? Oh my God!
Now, I guess he shanked him, but he did that because his bitch had gotten dissed. You know, you just get caught up and you act like that because you know everyone does that at work.
Fuck yeah. That's all I have to talk about. There's Supermax Cell.
Let's go over to Brian. Brian, you're on Fez.
Hey, Ronnie, what's going on?
Yeah.
Hey, no matter how many facts we throw at Fez, he will not change his mind. It's like he doesn't even hear them.
All right, well, let's get into that.
What facts have I not acknowledged?
Well, what about this fact? This guy, what would you think that his IQ was? Is
61.
And the other IQ is what, a 70?
Uh-huh.
What is the difference in those 9 points? What do you do? How many questions is that? What does a person with a 61 IQ act like? What does a person with a 70 IQ act like? You don't know those facts, right?
No.
Neither do I. I mean, it's hard for me to sit around and go, the 71 guy should be executed. The 69 guy should get to go back and eat Jell-O.
Well, it's just like the try it as an adult thing. You'll end up getting like a 14-year-old or a 12-year-old tried as an adult. That makes no sense.
Again, the reason why that some of these things that don't make sense to you is that you're not sitting on the jury being presented with actual evidence. You read, 1 or 2 paragraphs?
Yeah, I read a couple of news stories about this, yes.
So, I mean, did you feel like, but even in that time, they're not even describing what is the difference between a 61 and a 70. Could somebody who knows these things look at a guy going, hey, he's about a 74 and he's faking it. He's been told to fake it. I don't know that fact. You don't know that fact. And the fact of the matter is, I guess you've got some anti-Texas thing going on, right?
Oh, yeah, this makes me sick about the whole state.
Why? This law?
This law, the fact that there's 7 already this year, it feels like it's some sort of country that everyone in Texas would be bitching about that we should go and attack and do a regime change on.
See, I think that then you have a bigger axe to grind than just the one thing. I don't think that it's this thing at all that has it. It's just another and I think this comes up with a couple of things where you try to get into specifics, but it's about a bigger thing. Here's Mike in PA. You're on Manifest.
Yeah, I was like taking the IQ test. You know, they tell you, well, if you pass the IQ test, we're going to kill you. Why in the world would I ever want to do my best to pass an IQ test and get proven that I'm competent enough to be killed?
I can tell you honestly, I've never taken an IQ test in my life. Have you ever taken one, Chris?
You take them online, they give you really high scores.
Yeah, but have you ever sat down?
No.
And I don't think I know a person. Like, I've seen people on TV that had that little fucking club.
Mensa?
Yeah, for people with high IQs. And none of them end up ever having really great jobs. They're like Google people.
They get a card.
Yeah, they got like little Google in their fucking brain. But to me, the fact is, this guy knew how to run a gang, right? And he knew how to do fucking strong arm holdups.
So coke and shit.
Uh-huh.
That seems to be the basic thing of, do you know the difference between right or wrong? Did he know to run when the cops were around? Did he know not to tell his friends to squeal on him? I mean, this seems to me to be the fucking place where we decide whether somebody can fit into society or not.
No, when he finally got picked up after him and his buddy kidnapped this guy, beat him up outside of a convenience store and then kidnapped him, he says, don't blame the other guy. He didn't do it. I did. What criminal mastermind says that to the police?
Are you saying that there's a lot of guys that have not given confessions? Because I sat on a fucking jury, and those fucking guys got so many confessions that I couldn't believe it. I mean, all of us know, wait for a lawyer. But you know who doesn't know that? Fucking criminal types. They fuck up.
It's crazy.
They fuck up. When I sat on that jury for a month, the only time that it was ever debatable was when it was a beat cop. When a fucking detective came in, he was done. He fucking handed us all the evidence. Here's the confession that was made.
Jesus.
And everybody went, okay, good work. There was nothing to talk about. And yet, you know that these guys shouldn't be talking to the cops. You know they shouldn't be. They fucking confess all the time.
That's crazy.
All the time. And they confess because they're told stuff like, you know what? You're going to get in front of a jury, and the fact that you confess, they're going to go a little easy on you. They're going to tell them all kinds of stuff before they even read them their fucking rights. It's something that's done constantly. And maybe he thought to himself, this buddy of mine, fucking love the guy, I'm going to, cover for him. Or maybe, Fez, it was the truth. And he just told the truth. 866 Ron Zero Fez. 866 Ron Zero Fez. Howard, you're on the Ron and Fez show.
Yeah, Fezzy, I just want to ask a question. If the man had a trial and he had 12 jurors that sat there and listened to all the evidence and they found him guilty, then how in the hell do you figure you, of all people, living so far away, have the right to sit there and cast judgment when you wasn't there and you didn't hear no evidence?
Well, I never said he wasn't guilty.
So wait, if he should...
I said he shouldn't have been executed because of a Supreme Court ruling.
And the Supreme Court, who studied the case, kicked it back out and said this is not for the Supreme Court, this is for Texas to work out on how the testing is done.
Uh-huh.
So, again, there are people who've looked into this more than us who have decided upon it. But let me throw this back to you. If he's not guilty enough to be convicted, right? Why would he be in jail at all? If he doesn't know the difference of right and wrong, from your point of view, then he should be somewhere learning this or being taken care of in a mental institution by the state. I don't really think it goes as far as what you're saying. Your point would be, can you take somebody with a low IQ and ever find them guilty of anything because they don't know the difference between right and wrong? This is Dr. Timothy Moreau from Bellevue Hospital. Hi, you're on the air.
Hey,
sir.
Ronnie B, $1 million. How are
You too,
you,
my
pal?
friend.
I was just calling because I wanted to touch base and give you my point of view. A lot of patients come in, whether it be in the middle of the night or whatnot, and they try and pass one over on whoever to play like they're mentally handicapped or disabled. And it's my job and my team's job to evaluate these guys as they come in, whether they be criminal or just people off the streets. And you would be surprised at how many people try and pull one over on the NYPD and whatnot.
I'm not overly surprised that somebody who got arrested and was looking at real time would rather go into a mental institution, because I read One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest when I was a kid. It's not a bad angle to take, you know?
Percentage. And you play the system, and after about a year or two, you make a run for it, probably.
I can't imagine your job there at Bellevue, though.
You'd be surprised. It gets a little ugly at night, a little hairy.
I'm not even slightly surprised. I would
Bellevue.
Seriously, I would consider being a doctor there and a patient there almost the same. I would have the same exact feelings about either one.
You'd be surprised, yeah. You know what? It's unfortunate, but you know what? You got to start somewhere, and this is the route I took. So,
all right, take care, my friend.
All right.
So there you're hearing from a doctor, Fez, from Bellevue.
Uh-huh.
That the angle of trying to fuck with the test gets done all the time. And it should. I mean, I definitely would be doing that.
Yeah, why not? Tank it. Fucking.
I think that the thing that you look at with criminals is you're looking at a bunch of people who never want to take responsibility for their actions. Ever. And that's what we have to deal with when we decide what the punishment or rehabilitation is going to be. It's a lot more complex than you're seeing it.
Yeah, I mean, it's, he wasn't going to get out of prison It wasn't like
that's a
it wasn't
completely
like
different debate.
That he was
a
going to
com-
get sent
that's
anywhere
a,
else.
That's a completely different debate. That debate that you could sit up and talk about whether or not the death penalty works. All the states do that separately. Most states agree with you, I think. I think there's a majority of states now that don't have the death penalty at all. Every European country would agree with you. That's completely different than what we're talking about. We could sit down and talk about that on any given day, and probably we may change our mind one way or the other. A lot of people who are against the death penalty have something happen to somebody in their family and completely change their mind on it. Very difficult for me to sit down and explain to that person why they're wrong. Somebody who lost a kid or a spouse or a parent, that would be very difficult for me to sit down and say. So yeah, there's a ton of different things, some emotional and some intellectual. That's not the fucking thing that you're bringing into this today, though. I know that you're pissed off about it, but I think it just comes up that you're pissed off at red states. Here's Matt in Texas. You're on Run Fez.
Hey, guys. I was going to talk to Fez about Texas having the death penalty and thinking that we're just trying to be the tough guy state. There's other states that have the death penalty and that also enforce it. I don't think that's the real issue. I think his issue is that this guy wasn't the smartest guy in Texas. Therefore, he shouldn't have been executed. What IQ is fair enough, Fez, that you can rightfully be executed? Is an IQ of 61 mentally retarded, or just a little bit slower than most?
See, that's the facts that we don't even know the facts of the IQ test. And we know the guy wasn't mentally retarded, right?
Right. I mean, he was borderline there with that IQ of where that would fall into that range.
With the IQ that his defense attorneys gave him.
With the state a given IQ test.
By the way, I heard Swissy's feelings because I said I never saw any Mensa people with great jobs, and she says she's got a great job. What I meant is that you never see like Mensa people, I don't know, becoming president or CEOs and shit. Maybe I'm wrong about it. I just see them getting together and being smart. I just think it looks like more of a hobby than it does like let's actually get something going here.
I know there's a porn star who said she was a Mensa member, and that got a lot of heat. And so,
I want you to become a Mensa member.
Asia Carrera. You only get to take the test once.
All right, I'm looking. We've got some of the things in. The test said mild mental retardation is 50 to 69. Moderate is 35 to 49. Profound mental retardation is 20 to 34 points. And under 20, they actually call it desk lamp. That's the fucking official thing. This person is a desk lamp.
Let's put that desk lamp to death.
Just put it in the basket, Chief. Put the ball in the basket.
That's it.
I'm tired. I'm tired. I'm tired. I want my cigarettes, Nurse Ratchet. Let's go over to Ryan, California. You're on the Ron Fez show.
Hey, Ron and Fez. All right, check this out. This guy in Colorado that shot up the movie theater, all right? This guy orchestrated this whole thing. He set up his apartment to blow up. He's trying to play the mental role in court. What's your take on that guy? This guy had he was going for a PhD in neurological studies or something. I don't know. Come on. Really? Do you think this guy should die? Let me hear your take on that. Thanks, guys.
Well, I'll let you answer that, Fez. Would you kill the Joker?
I wouldn't kill the Joker, but I think
Is that because you're a Batman fan?
No, I have nothing to do with Batman anymore. That's
you never
for
got
children.
rid of your stuff. You never got rid of your stuff. We know that for a fact.
But there's a difference between being mentally disabled and being crazy. If that guy, if the Joker's trying to act crazy, I don't think he's ever trying to act mentally retarded.
Right, but there's also a difference between mentally retarded and stupid. There's a lot of fucking stupid people out there. A lot of the fucking guys who are in jail, it's because they could not see the fact that what they were planning on doing had no long-term payoff for them. That's the fucking thing that keeps everyone away from really being a criminal. And when you sit down and you're doing your taxes, right? And you're saying to yourself, this is fucked. This is, I'm getting screwed over. God damn it, blah, blah, blah. The things that keeps you from cheating on your taxes is because you're like, is it worth it
To get audited.
to get audited and to get fucked with and blah, blah, blah? And you say no. And like when I have my taxes done now, I say to the guy, don't fucking get me in any kind of trouble. Don't act like you're giving me a few grand more and I'm going to have to put up with this shit for 5 years and have people coming through stuff. Don't do it. And that's what people do when they are able to see long-term consequences. And the criminal mind, they never do. They're only thinking about right now. When you're an offender bender and you jump out and you and the guy are yelling at each other, the thing that fucking keeps you from not grabbing your baseball bat in your trunk and hitting him is that it ain't worth it. You're not even thinking this guy doesn't deserve it, because you believe he does. But you're like, is it going to be worth it for the rest of the fucking next 5 years of my life to be tied up of discussing whether or not I should have whacked this fucking guy? That's what keeps you from being a criminal. It's the only thing. Is being able to sit down and work out, is this fucking worth it or not? That's all. And this guy, to me, seems like he's got a fucking criminal mind. Now, if you wanted to say no criminals should be executed because it's bad for society, to me, that's a different thing. Let's go over here to Chris in Indiana. You're on the Ron and Fez show.
Yeah, let me run this by you. Did you hear about the prisoner in Oregon who was granted a reprieve from the governor, and he actually didn't want the reprieve and wants to still be executed, and wanted your guys' opinion on that?
Well, my opinion was, why would we even give him the decision?
That's crazy.
To me, it's none of his fucking business. But I don't know how. If I was stuck in a box like that, I think I'd rather die. And yet most of the people on death row think that life is better than dying. To sit in that box, to get letters every once in a while, maybe to get a book or listen to some music.
Right.
Be able to jack off, whatever they do is better than being executed. To me, it's no life. I can't even imagine it. Whenever I watch those fucking jail TV shows, the noise alone, just the clanging of metal and men screaming
constantly,
and the fucking bad lighting would have me going, I think I could turn this t-shirt into a noose.
Duh. And that's why you don't get a belt or shoelaces when they lock you up. Yeah, the cells are ridiculously tiny in these fucking Supermax prisons.
Oh, unbelievable. And everything's fucking metal fucking toilet.
And nothing's like unconnected. It's all like one piece. So you can't move anything around. It's fucked.
Let's go over here. Andrew, you're on my Fez.
Hello?
Yeah.
Hey, Ron. What about simple fact that, what if something happened in this guy's life in the beginning that he just realized that, look, he's not going to have book smarts or anything like that. So the bottom line is he just decided, fuck it. I don't give a shit. I'm going to roll as hard as I can and keep going until something happens. Because you can't be completely stupid to hustle and deal this and that, because if he was that retarded, hustling and running this and that, somebody would have taken him out earlier before. Because, look, there are a lot of stupid people. You got one sitting right next to you, but that's beside the point. No?
All right, I'm gonna. This is from a public defender, an email that I just got. It says, I'm a public defender, and I would say that 85% of all my clients are either low IQ or suffering from mental illness. And you are right, they commit crimes because they don't think long term. The criminals that get out of their charges are the smart ones that can process what has to happen after. And even then, how smart are you if you're getting caught up in the system?
You fucked up. And public defenders, I've had a couple. They're never really that great.
Well, you have no idea how much shit,
right?
and most of them are, pretty young, because obviously you don't stay in that job once you get the experience and, blah, blah, blah. The same with the prosecutors. Other than like the head prosecutor and people like that when you move up. But I couldn't believe how young the prosecutors were in New York.
So kids, pretty much, like probably straight out of law school, right?
Most of them, I think, were under 30.
Fuck.
And they were. There were some that were good, and there was some that were fucking really bad, and like coming in with their papers and like.
Which docket number is this?
Yeah. There was some that were. I'm like, well, this is a really fucking together person. Like I wouldn't, and I would not be able to even sit down and say this is the stereotype of them because I saw so many different ones. But there's complexity to law that Fez is not paying any attention to. And a lot of people dedicate their entire lives to law and sit around and debate these things at great length on a daily basis. And then the rest of us go, I saw an article, this pisses me off, I'm going to have an opinion about it. Which you're allowed to do, but you also sound like you haven't put the work into it. This one case is different than whether or not Fez hates Texas. And you hate Texas for what reason? Just over the execution stuff?
Yeah.
But you grew up in a state that was number 2 forever. And I never heard you bitch about it in Florida.
Yeah, I there was a time where I was in favor of the death penalty.
What changed it for you? When you figured out you were gay?
To me, it just seems like
we're
lowering ourselves.
But what was that moment that happened for you? What was that beam of wisdom that hit you?
I'm not even sure.
How could you have had this such a gigantic thing? Is that I've changed my opinion on whether people should be killed or not, and not even know how it happened.
I think it was along the same times of just when I was so for that war in Iraq, and just all the opinions started changing there.
But what does one opinion have to do with the other?
I think just the killing part of it.
The killing. So any killing is bad.
Yeah.
No matter what. War is bad.
Yeah, war's awful.
Mm-hmm. Never can happen.
No, I mean, sometimes people need to go in and be saved.
Right, so there can be a righteous war, but no killing.
Right, but that killing always ends up including civilians.
So don't go into a war.
Avoid it all as much as you can, yes.
And what do we do when there's some regime that's doing awful things to their own, genocide is taking place?
We try to get that person overthrown.
By who?
By their people. We try to get their people.
How do we do that? Do we give them guns?
If it's to stop a homicidal maniac, yes, you do have to go to war.
Okay. So sometimes it's okay.
Yes, sometimes it does have to be okay.
All right, so there is complexity to it for you. Let's go over to Josh. Josh, you're on the Ron and Fez show.
Hey, guys. I know it's not going to be possible, but is there any way that Fez can just take a step back and stop saying I and me with things that just honestly don't affect him? And it's like you're arguing, or not arguing, but you're debating with a toddler who just can't grasp that not everything happens to him. It happens to other people, doesn't affect him, and it doesn't matter.
I haven't said this guy affected my life.
Emotionally, this affects you, is what's happening.
Yeah, those are my feelings. I don't know why that is so wrong to have. Why people come down on that?
Who came down on it?
This guy.
Well, the thing was, when we talked about this before, that when you get emotionally involved, you stop making points, and it becomes about the feelings. Like, you would not want to be a prosecutor or defender and just be about emotion. You'd want to figure out what exactly was going on there. Let's go over to Mike, Colorado.
Hey, Ron. There was an article I read a month ago about that post-traumatic stress and heart attacks. The reason why Fez is upset and getting stressed out over this guy is because of his own fear of death.
Do you have fear of death, Fez?
Oh, yeah.
Did you
Yeah.
picture yourself as being the guy taken in there and executed?
Anytime someone's being executed, I picture myself as what that person's going through, taking that last walk.
Do you think that you have a 61 IQ?
No, I would think I'm a little bit higher.
Where would you put yours?
I'd say maybe a 110, a 120.
Nice.
Is that high? I don't know.
That comes across. Say, Your Honor. Say, Your Honor, he doesn't even know. I don't know, about 1 million? About 1 million.
I know everything.
I saw this thing, I think it was on Reddit yesterday, and it was a guy with autism, and they took him up in a helicopter for 20 minutes over Manhattan, and they brought back, and this thing that he drew from memory was stunning. It was on the front page of Reddit yesterday. See if you can find it.
Okay.
If you do, send it to the editor. For no other reason, just the mind, the brain is just phenomenal to me. I say to me, as if it isn't to every fucking human being. But I just find it absolutely mind-blowing that some of these people that you look at as, broken human beings, because they're not using everything that the rest of us think about, can just go light years ahead of us in other stuff.
God damn.
My monitor isn't on. And this is from 20-minute ride. Send that over to the editor right now.
Holy shit.
And that is a guy. And if you could do that, maybe it would be worth everything else that happens. I don't know. It's mind-blowing, though.
I don't know. I mean, it's a pretty cool picture, and it's pretty fucking amazing.
Chris, you're on the Run of Fez show.
Yeah, Ron, I have a tendency to lean like with you. I haven't really made up my mind about the death penalty. I kind of lean towards Fez, against it. But it seems to me that the death penalty, in its simplest terms, is to remove the most dangerous people from society completely. So if somebody doesn't know right and wrong, is that person, and they have a history of violence, is that person potentially more dangerous than somebody that can learn right and wrong? You know what I mean? So why does IQ even play into it?
Well, I think that IQ would play into it so we would know the difference between someone that society is either responsible for, because we are responsible for the mentally ill all across the board, we find a place for them. Obviously, it should go to the point that we've done this. But to say really stupid people shouldn't be punished the same, I can't agree with that. The whole thing is fucked up.
Yeah. This guy didn't even get a last meal. Texas is abolished. Fucking requesting last meals. They just give you chicken.
The last meal thing is really weird when you think about it. I mean, that is so strange.
That's because, some of their death row inmates were going so overboard on the last meal that they were like, we're not doing this anymore.
Why not just give them a menu? Instead, you could order off this menu.
A la carte, motherfucker.
What would your last meal be?
Bloomin' onion. Let's see. Some fried chicken. A couple cheeseburgers. Alcohol, if they'll let me have it.
No.
All right, no alcohol. All right, wild cherry Pepsi.
Mm.
It's good stuff.
So, bloomin' onion.
Yeah.
Fried chicken and mashed potatoes.
The mashed potatoes and mac and cheese.
Mac and cheese. You're going basically soul food.
Yeah, I'm doing a soul food type fucking deal. Yeah,
I'm
definitely.
I'm leaning your way. I would definitely go comfort food. It would be really weird for me not to have something that I didn't like that my mom cooked for me when I was a kid. So it would be best if my mom could, or at least through her recipe, because I would just want to go for comfort.
And then, bam, they do.
But wouldn't it be funny if someone is like, just some cottage cheese and some Jell-O and really watching my weight?
Greek yogurt? Do you have any of that?
Have any Greek yogurt? Maybe a big salad.
I definitely wouldn't want to go into it on a full stomach. I don't know how someone could put a tray of food in front of you and say, this is the last time in the world you're ever going to eat, and you could sit there and get it down.
But wouldn't that be better than to never know in a lot of ways? Like to have that time to go, here's food.
Give it to me, man.
You know what I mean? Like this is what food tastes like. This is what it feels like to be alive. Most of us don't get that opportunity. You know, instead of thinking ahead about tomorrow, if you could just concentrate on that, it might be just outstanding. You might be like, this is the first time in my life I've ever tasted food. I realized just how good things can be. Because just think of how many times you don't pay attention to when you're eating. Most of the time, we don't pay attention. And when you do pay attention, the taste jumps up dramatically.
Otherwise, you're just shoveling it in your mouth.
That takes me into a food bit I want to do when we get back. It looks like McDonald's is finally coming around and understanding late night breakfast.
Oh, shit. That's what's up.
And a couple of other places have done this now, where they're coming up with other meals. And it looks like America is adding a fourth meal. And no, I'm not talking about brunch, because let's face it, you never have breakfast, then brunch, and then lunch.
That'd be crazy.
Brunch is almost taking two meals and shoving them into one.
Brunch is fucking hangover breakfast is what brunch is.
It's just a late breakfast, or maybe I'll have some meat with it.
It's weekend breakfast, really, because you don't have brunch during the fucking week.
The sleeping
Well,
in
it's
meal.
really weird that you don't understand what the rest of the country thinks of brunch as. The rest of the country goes and eats it off a buffet table and really tries to eat massive amounts.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like brunch is one of those $10.95 and all you can eat deals around the country.
Oh, shit.
In New York, it's just it's like really good breakfast and lunch foods together.
Yeah, and then like fucking mimosas.
Drinkings, yeah.
And lots of booze.
Yeah, you try to hair the dog.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll come back and talk about this and maybe even give out a prize. America's adding a fourth meal. It's the Ron and Fez Show.